Well, hello there and good morning. Let me get a little coffee. This is the reschedule from Wednesday. I had a little bit of a longer dental appointment on Wednesday, which derailed my lecture, so I moved it to today. This is also a piggyback on yesterday's Ask Self Recruiter live Q&A, which was really all 12 questions, really all surrounding how to outreach to the decision maker, which is also what we're going to talk about in much more depth today. So I'm really glad you joined us. Now, if you missed any of the earlier series, this series started a week ago Monday. So we started with resume. We talked about LinkedIn. We talked about using social media in your job search. Today, we'll talk about how to outreach to the decision maker. Also spoke about how your next interview very likely needs an intervention before that happens, so that you understand that it's your job to teach them how to select you, not to simply answer questions. Be sure to see the whole series. It'll help you quite a bit. Whether you're joining me on Facebook, LinkedIn Live, or over on my YouTube channel, probably the easiest place to see all of the lectures is over on the Self Recruiter YouTube channel. And wherever you are, of course, I hope you like, comment, share, message, do all that kind of fun stuff. Really appreciate it. This is the paradigm shift in job search, marketing yourself directly to the decision maker. Now, not a big fan, which I talk about in a number of my lectures, not a big fan of applying online. I would, by the way, if that worked, but in most cases, that really doesn't work for most individuals. And I would argue that it goes to the wrong person in almost every case. Now, if you'd like to work for HR, it is very likely going to the right people, because the only people that HR actually hire are HR folks. Everybody else, it's simple facilitation of the process. They don't actually hire those folks. So that also means you're allowing those people that don't have the right background to screen you out based on what they think of your background. Versus if you get to the decision maker, even a 90-second conversation with the decision maker, they'll know exactly why you're right for this job or not. You can't talk yourself into a job you're not right for, but it's a game changer to get yourself to that decision maker. Even if you're a little too scared to do it by phone or by voice talking to them, you can accomplish most of what I'm suggesting by email. Oh, it does go to another level of effectiveness if you can pick up the phone. Now, across the entire lecture series, but of course today as well, it's about becoming a self-recruiter. So we'll take this self-recruiter lens today and we'll zero in on the process of how you outreach to the decision maker, which I touch on certainly in my LinkedIn lecture. Be sure to check that out. I should mention there's a very special version of my LinkedIn lecture that's right on my self-recruiter homepage, about halfway down the page. You can see me large, the slides large, and really use it as a start and stop tutorial as you're building out a much better LinkedIn profile. The core of becoming a self-recruiter is beginning to network in a very different way. And that's primarily how we'll use LinkedIn in a very new way to exponentially change networking, not just the one or two folks, but suddenly a very large number of folks. Also requires keeping one eye on that toughest competitor imaginable, 4, 5, 6 people that would scare you out of applying for that job. Oh, they're going after the job. Oh, forget it. That person. We can beat those seemingly perfect people so easily if we simply put a little strategy and forethought in place. But if you stick your head in the sand and try to ignore those shiny, sparkly people, they'll beat you every time, and they'll take that opportunity from you. So I want you to think about those folks and how they really suffer from something called ego and arrogance, and they don't actually prepare. So you can outmaneuver them fairly quickly. Now, a lot of the secrets that'll help you are certainly in my book. You can get my book right on my Self-Recruiter website, also over on Amazon quite easily. It is kind of the roadmap for your entire job search and what to do with your resume, your LinkedIn, how to use social media. Even what if I get the wrong offer? How do I renegotiate that? All of those secrets from my time in recruiting are in there. They'll help you quite a bit. Now, rules. We're going to talk about rules today because a lot of those job postings say must send compensation requirements. Well, that's how little to pay me. I'm never going to tell them how little to pay me. That's ridiculous. Must send a Word document. I would not let a Word document out of my cold, dead fingers if we're talking about resume. If you send your resume in a Word format, you have no idea what it looks like on the other end. May look very similar to how you think it looks, and it may look like a completely different animal. That's not how you control your career branding. So when you do all of the work to make your resume really sing your praises, like I teach in my resume renovation lecture, be sure at the very end of it to convert that Word document over to a PDF file, which freezes it in state and keeps it perfect. So lots of rules, lots of rules. The one I like least is must apply online, must apply online. Okay, that's the rule for the other people. Law or principle describing or prescribing how something is done. This is a rut. These rules that are set up, they're really to keep you at bay. I want you to utilize whichever rules work for you and learn how to violate whatever rules are really meant for somebody else. Otherwise, you're going to find yourself in a very unhappy place versus, having the opportunity that you really have earned or deserve to have as your next. Paradigm shift. Well, here we're talking about it's more than a small change. It's a fundamental shift. It's a metamorphosis. It's losing an entire layer of skin to become a butterfly. That type of a shift in thinking, in approach, in how you interpret things. And out of all of this, you're going to allow yourself to have these moments of clarity, these dots that get connected going, there is another way, and it's much, much easier. Now, I have to share a story. When I was giving this lecture in person at the New York Public Library hundreds of times, many times, but I was on the way over to the elevator after one of my lectures, and this gentleman had followed me over to ask a question and mature in their career, and suddenly he's like, "Oh, I got your book. It's a really good thing, really good thing." I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much." He's like, that calling part. Oh, that wasn't for me. That wasn't for me. And then I tried it, and it worked. I'm like, well, it's not going to work every single time, but yes, if you try it 3, 4, 5 times, and if you follow the recipe, essentially, I'm going to teach you the recipe right here. It does work, and you'll be motivated to do it again and again. I do want to mention yesterday's Ask Self Recruiter live Q&A, and you can see that most easily over on the Self Recruiter YouTube channel. It covers many of these same topics we'll talk about today, so do check that out. It'll be a nice piggyback onto today's lecture. I simply want you to change the equation of diminishing returns by changing these rules you never agreed to in the first place. Must send a Word document, must tell me how little to pay you, all this nonsense. So let's think about, if we are going to reach out to the decision maker, we're going to have to think about it in terms of who is it that makes those decisions? Who is the person that really is the decider, but who are the right influencers around that person that help them make the decision? Or if they defer to someone else, likely up the food chain, who are they deferring to up the food chain? Those all have to factor into our thought process, because we have to influence this pool of people. Now, most people that are out there, most of our competitors fall into this category. This can be even a trap for us, because we may think, oh, the bulk of the people are mediocre. I'm great. Okay. If you're a little bit better than the bulk of the people, a little bit better than mediocre, you're ahead of those folks. But the best of the best simply put a little heart and soul into whatever it is they do. Whatever the function, doesn't matter. If you put a little heart and soul into whatever you do and not do, well, what do I get if I do this? Well, I don't know, but I know if you do the same thing that you've been doing, I know what you're going to get. So it is about changing things up and doing things differently. So put a little heart and soul into whatever it is you do, and you'll naturally rise to be that top 1, 2, 3%. Then you have to carry all of that story over into your personal branding, because no one's just going to give it to you or award it to you because you're doing a great job. In fact, if they see you doing a great job, they're probably going to be hands off, move away. Let's give a little water and food, keep them over in the corner, just keep them growing and producing and growing and producing, and don't disturb it. But we want to move ahead in our careers. We want to do other things. And that means we're going to have to carry that story, no matter how personally distasteful it may be, because a lot of us suffer culturally from modesty and humility, which are 2 amazing traits for all the rest of the parts of our life, but not job search and not career. Modesty and humility in these 2 areas work directly against you. So you have to give yourself permission to carry your story into your personal branding, because you know what? I earned this. I did it. I built it. It's my asset, essentially. Now, here's a little bit of the trap that most people think about. as they begin to hone their story, and there's a lot about that in shaping your story in the resume renovation lecture, also the building your professional network with LinkedIn lecture. As they begin to hone and shape this story, they fall in this trap of wanting to be cookie cutter perfect. Oh, I'll be cookie cutter perfect, cookie cutter perfect. That's great. It's interchangeable. Fantastic. I'll take number 3. Number 3, I'm going to pay you less. No, you don't want it less? Number 2, I'll take you, or number 5, I'll take you. It doesn't really matter. All interchangeable, cookie cutter perfect. What does it matter to me? I'm going to pay less. There's the trap. You somehow have to achieve, yes, being cookie cutter perfect, interchangeable, capable, and qualified really is what that means, but somehow also different, exceptional, special. You're going to have to learn to be able to step out of line and get that credit as well. And that's how you get the job carved up in a different way to give you more responsibility, to give you more compensation, or whatever it is you might need to be drawn into this. Make sure your story is effectively carried across the resume, cover letter, even your outreach messaging, your business card, working or not working. We have to have a business card. Let's not forget those basic things. LinkedIn profile, probably biggest piece of personal branding in existence if it is used properly. Probably biggest waste of personal branding if it is not used properly, if your story is going cold and doesn't come to life. Most overlooked, though, is probably your signature block. So let's think about all of these things. As you work through your background, as you begin to think about what you might say to this decision maker as you reach out, you have to take all of the things that are transferable, all the accomplishments, all the things that you're involved in, and filter them through this kind of one singular question. What rises to the level that will help convince them it's the very best business decision they're going to make today if they choose to hire me? Those are the things I have to talk about and think about. But while you're tooting your own horn or getting ready to, remember that it's a very tricky balance in communications, because it's a dating process along with a sales process, the two worst things together. You're there to sell and present yourself and your value, and yet you have to do it through the angle of it being all about them, your launch, what's going on with your company, how I can help you. So it's a slightly different angle that helps you be seen in their eyes as that masterful resource. So let's get to the decision maker. Who's going to give us the yes? And let's think about HR's involvement, the hiring manager, maybe even the boss's boss or the boss's boss's boss. Let's teach you how to get to any decision maker right now. That's the first step of reaching out to the decision maker. Whatever background, whatever field that you're from, I think you already get that your part of the org is structured primarily like this. Alter those titles as you may, deem fit. But essentially, it's going to be one of these kind of title sets. So wherever you see this job reporting into, I want you to think about not only the decider, but maybe the boss's boss and the boss's boss, and maybe even the boss's boss's boss. Basic top-down selling. That person further up the food chain is not afraid of you. In fact, they're going to be excited to speak with you if you don't forget it's a date. Make it all about them, because they need great strategic assets on the board to play the game, and you're potentially one of those. The key with going up the ladder is once they hear your value and buy into it, they will introduce you very quickly right down to the decision maker, and you always get the interview when you're introduced down the food chain. LinkedIn, de facto social networking website for our work life. It's really just like Facebook, but this one's for our career. Here, as you begin to share things, as you begin to look for things, it's always about this 3-level network, big influence network. Be sure to watch my LinkedIn lecture, much more detail there. I have about 12,000 connections. Public speaker, not very difficult for me. But the point here is 3 levels out. That gives me a pool greater than 21 million people. So I can find any decision maker I ever want to find at any company that I'm interested in. Here's how you find your decision maker. I go into the unified search box at the top of any page. In this example, I'm going to search Informatica, big database middleware company. Made a lot of placements over the years with them. And so as you begin to type, it's going to give you this drop-down menu. Don't click on the drop-down menu. That's a trip down the rabbit hole. Don't do it. Simply type what you like, hit enter, and you get this nice secondary sorting process here. As long as I'm here looking for people in Informatica, I should also go, are there other companies that are in this same sphere that I've forgotten about? So Let me dig in. Oh yeah, there's the companies. Show me the companies. This is all in the free version, by the way, I should mention. 34,000 companies. What is going on here? Well, after you get past the few that are Informatica, after those few dozen or whatever that are actually Informatica, who are the rest of these? I can tell you. This used to be one of my fields. Everybody down this list is a system integrator. They either resell or install Informatica software. If I am statistically right to work for Informatica, I'm very likely statistically right to work for a great number of these organizations as well. So don't forget to expand your reach, your targets appropriately. But of course, then I really have to find the decision maker, and I'm looking for the one at Informatica. So I'm going to go over and say, no, show me the people. I want to see the people. 2.5 million. Whew. Cold and in the ground before I'll get through that list. I got to think about this. Maybe, you know what? I don't need everybody in the whole world, and I don't need the ones that worked at Informatica 3 years ago. I hope you begin to understand use of a tool like this involves problem solving, reasoning. So yes, even on the free version, show me the ones in the United States and show me the ones that currently work for Informatica. Now, what do I get? Oh, 1,615 results. Much better than 2.5 million. But I can't look at 1,600 people either. They're going to cut me off very, very quickly here. I'm going to have to do some more detective work in my head. Maybe it's a VP. I think a VP is probably going to hire me. Look at that. Just a simple VP search, even on the free version. Really US, really Informatica. What do I get? 75 VPs. A lot of chiefs in that company. Let's think about this. Or maybe it's a director. Director, really US, really Informatica. What do I get? 228 directors. I'm going the wrong direction. Oh, I have it. Because it's brainstorming. It's problem solving. I'm working backward. I think it's a sales director. And as long as I'm narrowing in, I think it's right down in New York City, even on the free version, of course, currently working for Informatica. And I get 3. I hope you realize from maybe my other lectures, my goal here is to find 3 to 5 individuals. I found the baseline, but if I found 5, my odds would even increase. I'm looking for 3 to 5 people to reach out to that decision maker. But also at the same time, which I talk about in depth in my LinkedIn lecture, at the same time I'm building this part of the org chart, I'm trying to figure out 25 to 30 total people that surround that job. So I can open their profiles to trigger a marketing event. So I can ask them to connect to trigger a second marketing event, essentially warming up the audience that I would work with daily behind the firewall of the company. Then I simply don't wait for any of those answers because they're all irrelevant. I'm going to open these people. I'm going to ask these people to connect also. And then boom, I'll have the right people that I can step out of LinkedIn and email also directly. But I want to get to 5. So maybe there's a sales VP, not just a sales director. Maybe there's a sales VP right in New York. What do I get? 2 more. I got them. Now I'm up to 5. That really increases my odds. And of course, besides opening and asking to connect, not waiting for an answer, because that part's irrelevant. This is a sales process. Then I just give myself permission to step out of LinkedIn and email each of these 5 people as if each one is the only person in the world. Dear Jack, dear Jim, dear Jill. Hope you got that. It's by first name. I don't care if it's Jack Welch at GE, doesn't matter. It's by first name. You must be absolutely equal to anybody that you speak with. So I will never speak up to anyone and certainly never speak down to anyone. Think of your value. Talk to them like a dear old friend. Remember, it's a date. Now, let's show you something else here. Nick here, I get this frustrated little send in mail. Well, I hope you don't send an in-mail before you understand what in-mail really is, which is the literal definition of spam. It is paid email. It may not seem like spam to you, but I have an inbox on LinkedIn stuffed, jam-packed full of over 1,000 unopened messages of nonsense, endless spam marketing through in-mail. So no, I will never send an in-mail to someone. I do want to connect with Nick, but they've frustrated me. I like the connect button. But if I simply load at Nick's profile, they frustrate me again. But if I click the ... they've just hidden the connect button here over. They'll just hide it over here. They'll never see it over here. It's right there. It's their business model. So I'm going to connect with all of these folks, not wait for the answer. By the way, this message is a message you write one time ever copy and paste forevermore. It communicates, you don't know me, I'm professionally appropriate, and here's a little stroke to your ego. I like to connect with other professionals in our niche or niche, depending how we like to say that, comma. And of course, I'd love to add you to my professional network on LinkedIn. You probably get 10, 12 acceptances pretty quickly if you're going after 25 to 30 people. Oh, I know you want them all. That's not what it's about. It's really about the opportunity for each one of them to click and open your profile and end up on your 3-dimensional sales brochure all about you that better position you as the best thing since sliced bread in your field. If you need help elevating your LinkedIn profile or elevating the story on your resume, reach out. All my services are under my self-recruiter page over on the services tab. And if you need to talk before you know which package is right for you, send me a quick email. We'll set up a time to chat. Wherever you are in that part of the process, take your first step and repeat, and don't hesitate to get in there and refine your resume and your career materials. That will hold you back if you don't have that piece of it already done. Now, if we're going to catch attention in the outreach, it's a date, which means it's got to be about them before it's ever about us if we're going to create that real engagement. So you can't lose sight of the almost romance end of it, but obviously I don't really mean romance. As far as frequency, how often we can do this, how often can I outreach? Well, if I saw an open job at ABC company and I'm dying to work there, I could reach out to the decision maker or 3, 4, 5 of the decision makers. I could reach out to them 3, 4, 5, 6 times in 2 or 3 days without them being upset. I simply can't reach out 6 times saying the same thing over and over like a parrot. That's not going to really help. You have to imagine this is a conversation, even though it's a monologue. And you have to imagine they love what they're hearing, even though they can't really tell you. And so you have to continue the conversation with each message without any hint of, gosh, I left you 3 messages already. Really? Well, I'm never calling you back because I got an endless list of people to call back. And I'm going to call back the right ones. So uncovering emails and phone numbers. Well, the emails, we can get any person's email. That is 99% of the people. 1% you're never going to get. 99% of the people we can get in 2 or 3 minutes. It's as simple as they're at ABC Company. I go to ABC Company's website first off. I look through the whole website very, very quickly. Time is your enemy. Look in career services. Look in investor relations sometimes, PR even. What you're looking for is one human being's email. By the way, jobs at is not a human being's email. One human being's email. Once you have one person's email, you have every person's email. Apply the name to the format and email them directly. The 1% you can't get, move on to an easier target. Time is what you're losing here. Phone numbers, easier than you think. If you figure out that this manager is based in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, and they work at ABC offices in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, just go over to Google and put ABC Company, comma, King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, main number, boom, and it comes right up. You'd be shocked. Or call their national number if you need to and say, oh, it's John Crant. Just like they should know who you are, because that's how they give out information. They give it out to people that seem like they belong. Oh, hey, Jack, Jim, Jill, it's John Crant. I'm trying to reach Jim Smith over in King of Prussia. What's his direct line? And they give it to you right away. You have to act like you belong, and you have to sound like you belong. If you act like you're asking a question, okay, can you tell me, Jack Smith in King of Prussia, Pennsylvania, can you give me their direct line? I'm sorry, who's calling? What's this about? That's how it works. I want you to think of all the tools you have at your advantage. And the entire lecture series has much more content in it than just this lecture. You have to use the right tool. So today we're going to talk about this 30-second calling script. But even though we're talking about a calling script, you may or may not be ready to actually pick up the phone and call. It's almost identical by email, and it's almost identical calling, whether it's going to a live person or going to the machine. But we're going to go through all that so you can kind of see how it sounds. Now, this is how not to do it. Hi, this is John. I'd like you to hire me. I'm sorry, how'd you get my number? Take me off your list. Never call me again. Security. That doesn't work so well. So hopefully we don't do it that way. You have 30 seconds to live or die. And dying sounds like, how'd you get my number? Take me off your list. Never call me again. Security, which we don't really want. But they'll give you 30 seconds of professionalism If you deliver value, if you don't forget it's a date, if you keep it all about them while delivering your value, it'll go very well for you. So this form you can download right from my Self-Recruiter website. Just click the advice tab, which is my blog, and look for an article called The Job Search Management System. It has all these forms in it. It's all free. So we've zoomed in here on the structure of the form. I'm going to make this one a little bigger so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. And the text on the left side, because I don't expect you to write this out now, the text on the left side will remind you of what I'm teaching you now as you write out your script. But I want to take you through the structure so you can get the essence of it. So I'm going to greet them. I'm going to wait for their response. I'm going to acknowledge whatever I hear, good, bad, or ugly. I can't pretend I didn't hear it. I'm going to get right to the point, tell them why I'm calling. If I went to one of maybe those, there's only about this many. If I went to one of those schools, I'm going to mention it because I certainly see the doors fly right off the hinges for my clients that went to those schools. Now, you may think you went to one of those schools. There's only about this many. If it's one of the other ones that are near this, forget it. It's not one of those. There's only about this many that are the true dazzlers. The rest of it you talk about later. Get right to 2 or 3 key deliverable things that you have touched that would be so valuable to them, would make them jump right out of their chair, and then close them. Closing, by the way, let me just get a little tissue real quick. Sorry about that. Closing, by the way, is a scary sales term. Simply means, well, most people misunderstand what it really means. I'm going to put this a little bit smaller now and come back to real size. Most people think it means asking for what you'd like. I'm like, no. It requires 2 components. One is asking for what you'd like, which is not closing. And the other is asking for agreement to it, which is where they say no, which is why everyone's afraid to ask for the agreement to it. But you're not closing without that. So how does this sound in real life? Something as simple as, hey, good morning, Jack. It's John Crant. How are you this morning? Now, as I was teaching recruiters this many, many years, a lot of background in recruiting as well. The recruiters I would teach, the hand goes up in the background. Isn't that what everybody says? Yes. Here we're going to use the concept of the usual customer expected to essentially get them to give us the correct response so that we can continue on with our sales presentation. That's what this call is. It's a sales presentation. So if they give me the answer I'd like, they're going to say, I'm fine, John. How can I help you this morning? Fantastic. Let's keep moving. Or they're going to give me like a trained dog response, which is, I'm fine, John. How can I help you this morning? I'll take it. I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to ignore their form and just keep moving. Or they're going to give me something I don't like, which I'm terrible. Ooh, I wish they didn't say that. Let's back up and we're going to take the terrible. The rest, I think you'll get by yourself. So, hey, good morning, Jack. It's John Crant. How are you this morning? I'm terrible. Well, Jack, let's see if we can change that. The reason for my call, I just had to reach out and introduce myself to you. I am so excited by what I see going on at XYZ company. Pause. I can't build them up to tell if you saw someone you were attracted to across the room, which is not as likely during the pandemic, but maybe, and we felt adventurous and we had to go over there and introduce ourselves. I just had to come over here and introduce myself. There was something so compelling about you. Oh, really? Was it my long flowing hair, my dreamy eyes? What was it? They understand what you're doing, but they need to hear, what is it about ABC company? You had to go do your homework in advance. So go do a news search, go check their press releases, find something exciting going on with them that you can stroke their ego and say, oh, by the way, picking right up, I saw the Wall Street Journal article on your new such and such launch. Oh, those things are always so good to get. Why don't you try communicating with them like a real human being, like you might talk to your dear old friend? It is very, very effective. And then just think about, you need a carrot to dangle to get the interview. What could I share that could be so valuable that they want to speak to me? By the way, I handled a very similar launch when I was with XYZ company. I'd love to come in and share with you how we tackled a lot of those issues I bet your team's experiencing. That sounds very valuable to me as well. That is worth the time. And then you simply go for the jugular for the close. I have an opening on my calendar. Your words are very, very important. You must not be subservient. You must be equal. Opening on my calendar Tuesday at 10 a.m., one day, one time, never more. If you're open all next week, I'm never going to meet with you. You are not busy. You're not valuable. One day, one time as a device to get them to react to. And the normal question that comes out of this is, well, that sounds great, John, except that I'm reaching out to 5 people. So I'm giving them all different times. Absolutely not. Everybody gets Tuesday at 10 a.m. And statistically, it'll never happen to you that multiple people take Tuesday at 10 a.m. First off, Tuesday at 10 a.m. is really not great for me. I'm glad you offered it so I can think about scheduling you and think about that process and whether I buy into your value, but that's typically not going to work. So yes, if you get struck by lightning in the very best way, one of them might go, fantastic, John, I'd love to meet with you Tuesday at 10 a.m. Great, fantastic. And then like 10 minutes later, a second one accepts for Tuesday at 10 a.m. And now you're like, oh, now I got the world's worst problem. Really? You have the world's best problem, actually. Scheduling the interview is the difficulty. There's never a difficulty rescheduling it because they've already decided on hearing your value. So when the second one comes in, I don't simply respond back, oh, I'm sorry, that's gone. Is that how you sell? No. So you simply go, oh, Jim, I can't wait to discuss with you. I'm so excited about what I see going on, as I had said in my message, and also about the value that I think I could bring to that challenge of yours. By the way, my Tuesday at 10 a.m. just filled. So we build them up. They've made the right choice. I'm the one you want to speak to. And that, oh, by the way, my Tuesday at 10 a.m. just filled, but I'm open at 3 p.m. Might that work for a brief discussion? ? The might that work for a brief discussion is the handoff that makes them feel in control. Brief solves the problem, which is don't waste my time. Oh, I can brief. It's worth it. You begin to see how this works. Now, if they don't answer their phone, and we're going to do a phone call here, where they don't answer their phone, it's going to go to voicemail. The problem with voicemail is people start speaking to the machine. It goes beep, and they go, oh, hi, Jack. Why is John's voice up in the clouds like that? What does that happen to us? So you learn how to speak to the machine as if it's your dearest, deepest friend. You're about to tell a secret that you haven't shared with somebody else. So it goes beep, and I go, hey, good morning, Jack. it's John Crant. Gosh, I hope you're having a great morning. Notice how it's almost the identical script. I hope you're having a great morning. I just had to reach out and introduce myself to you. I am so excited by what I see going on at ABC Company. Oh, by the way, I saw the Wall Street Journal article on your new such and such launch. All those things are always so good to get. I handled a very similar launch when I was with XYZ Company. And I'd love to meet with you where I could share how we really tackled all those issues I bet your team might be experiencing. I have an opening on my calendar Tuesday at 10 a.m. I'm not sure if that might work for you, but I'm certainly looking forward to a great discussion. Let me know what's best or if we need to schedule at a different time. And I can't wait for our conversation. Best, John. If you're going to do this, both calling and email. Now, if we're calling, we definitely need to do an email. If we're emailing, we may not be calling. If you're calling and emailing, the sequence is to write the email, but don't send it. It's up on screen. I could send it, but I don't send it. Could, but I don't. Pick up the phone to call. If it goes to conversation, as I'm going, hey, good morning, Jack, I click send. And I simply go, hey, good morning, Jack. How are you doing this morning? I'm fine. How can I help you? Hi, Jack. I just had to introduce myself to you. I'd sent you an email, but I don't think you'd seen it. I'm so excited by what I see. Pause. What do you think they're doing right now? Right this moment, while they're listening to your marketing message, they're also going to their email. Your message begins to go through both their eyes and their ears simultaneously. It's very, very effective. So that's if they answer the phone. If they don't answer the phone, I leave my voicemail. If I don't stick my foot inside my mouth, then I click send on the email. If somehow something went wrong, I couldn't re-record, maybe even I started laughing and went completely off track. I thought, oh, what a disaster. I can recover in the email. Hang up the phone, click in front of the email message that I already have typed and just say, sorry about that voicemail, obviously thought I could re-record. Didn't want you to lose sight of the fact that I just had to reach out and introduce myself to you. That's the only slight adjustment. From doing this many years as a recruiter, I can tell you that if you simply fall on your sword, if you make a mistake, boy, people really give you a lot of latitude. So I want you to think about that, and that can make a world of difference. Refine your script. It will help you quite a bit. Every single piece of your outreach messaging is part of your marketing campaign. So what I just described to you, if you're doing both the email and picking up the phone, that's a 1-2 combination. But there may be other things for you to do, other non-traditional outreach. I've had one of my clients get their interview by wishing a manager happy birthday on Facebook. Now, if you can connect all of those dots, that means they were connected to a manager at another organization on Facebook that they wanted to work with in advance and had enough of a relationship that they felt like they could say happy birthday. And of course, this manager answered back going, "Oh, thank you so much. Oh, I know I owe you a reply to your email." And boom, they got it. But I've had clients follow founders on Twitter and parlay that into interviews as well. LinkedIn messaging can work as well. Watch those in mails though. But you're going to have to be ready. You're going to have to be ready to present yourself and sell yourself. It's all about your message. So please do the work necessary going through the resume renovation lecture and the building a professional network with LinkedIn lecture so that you really create your proper career story, which is going to become part of your effective messaging. So part of that means we have to think about, well, how should they see us? How should they perceive us? Above everything else, they better perceive us as the future of their organization along with these other things. And most of that comes out of how you might allow yourself to speak about yourself. In these online lectures, I talk quite frequently about the fact that I'm actually shy and introverted, which usually makes my friends like spit out their coffee all over the place when they hear me say that because they've never seen it. And just because I'm very, very good at masking it does not mean it's not true. So if I'm shy and introverted and can do what I can do, you can do it as well. It's about practice and having your story that you lived right up front. Also, the concept of using social media marketing, and there's a whole separate career evolution lecture about that, to basically flood your network with all sorts of things that reinforce who you are, why you're valuable. And suddenly the amount of effort you put in comes back to you tenfold. But you're going to have to think about, well, who I am as this product. I have to have some idea of how they should feel about my product. Is it a store brand product? Is it a national brand product? Perception's reality, I mean, terrible concept in some ways, certainly when I was growing up. But if we haven't come to the conclusion now, it's not enough just to be great at what you do. You also have to manage the perception of what you do. And small little changes change reality very, very quickly. So do the work on your resume, do the work on your LinkedIn profile, change how you speak about yourself or allow yourself to speak about yourself, and learn how to violate some of the rules and reach directly out to the decision maker so that your future changes as well. Position your product center stage, understand why it is more valuable than the rest, understand how to make it not only interchangeable, but exceptional, and make sure that you're confident and knowledgeable and really ready for whatever the next step is. Just want to recap what I think proper job search is. What I don't think proper job search is sitting on the internet, looking at job postings, looking for our next life in our career. To me, that's pure tragedy. Tragedy because that person is wasting 50% of their time. Time is the only resource that you have. Half of all job postings that you see are not real in the first place. And that comes out of how they are sold. It used to be VP over 100 office recruiting system. I did all the national contracts. I know exactly how they're sold. The only way you ever get a good deal is to buy the largest number that you can possibly use. You wrangle with your sales rep to come up with a great deal on that number. And then those are use them or lose them in 12 months. No idea 6 months or up to a year ago what I'm going to hire today. Very quickly, they start posting what they may hire someday, which is very little to do with today. To me, real job search is about reversing that entire process, creating 30 organizations. By the way, there's a whole deep lecture on this one called Organizing and Managing Your Job Search, also called Supercharging Your Job Search. But really, it's starting with 30 organizations that would be statistically perfect to hire you, which is a game changer. I teach in that lecture how to do it. Working backward like a detective. I mean, what John's saying is not possible. But if it was, how do I align the sun, the moon, the stars working backward to open up a pathway, discovering the steps, discover the decision makers. Well, I taught you how to do that here. Overcome the objections. What was their title? A decision maker. Their job is to object to you. When they object to you, that is like teeing up the ball so that you can take a swing at the ball. So they want to hear how you overcome these objections, how you put your thoughts together. So if I hear somebody objecting, I'm like, fantastic, I can't wait, because they want to hear how I can put my thoughts together, dazzle them, get a meeting, or have them create the job for you. Wherever you are in your process, take the first step. I hope that you don't get stuck in the trap of applying online, which may get you stuck in HR that may dismiss you very, very quickly. Take what's necessary to get yourself in front of the decision maker. Even that 90-second conversation on the phone with the decision maker, they'll know exactly why you're right and how you can help them. Or if you're not going to be able to talk yourself into that job. So let's think about whatever we're doing and the fact that we have to make this a repeatable process. This is today's marketing yourself to the decision maker. It does require a paradigm shift in what we're doing. So I want you to think about all the old ways of doing it have to go up on the shelf, and I have to think about new ways of doing it. Also, your resume, your LinkedIn profile, your outreach messaging all has to be different in this modern world. So if you're suffering from your career story not really being told the right way, most individuals can't really do it for themselves. They're so emotionally close to the journey and probably still a little injured from the journey. They can't see how to tell that story in a new but still very truthful way. Oh, I'm not emotionally attached to the story. I care deeply, but I'm not emotionally attached. And I can see how to take your story and really collect it in a different way for a very different result. If you need help, check out my Self-Recruiter website, and all my services are under the services tab. If you need to know which package is really the right one for you, if you need to talk beforehand, just send me a quick email. We'll set up a time to chat. Thank you guys for joining in. Whether you're joining in over on my YouTube channel, my LinkedIn live session, or over on my Facebook, I hope you like, comment, share, message, share with your friends, all those kind of fun things. And we'll see you very, very soon. Thank you guys for joining in today.